Hi, I went on a long run yesterday. I needed some really gentle movement and a really good stretch, so I figured I wasn't the only one. We'll get started in a child's pose. So we'll bring knees out wide, big toes to touch behind you, press your hips towards your heels, reach your hands forward. Let your head lay down onto the ground and take a few moments to settle in, really letting gravity pull you down to the earth, finding grounding connection with the earth. Take a few breaths in and out. Might be in and out through the nose, it might be in the nose, out the mouth, whatever feels best for you right now. See if you can allow your breath to get a little bit longer and deeper with each inhale. And then next inhale, let's bring our shoulders on top of our wrists. Finding a tabletop position with wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we'll take a few cat-cows, releasing the spine. So as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin, brighten through the collarbones. And then as you exhale, find cat pose, round through the spine, tuck your chin towards your chest, round. One more time, just like that. Inhale, cow pose, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, cat, round through the spine. Inhale, come to a neutral tabletop position. Bring your hands about a handprint in front of where they are now. Tuck your toes underneath your feet, and then press yourself up, high plank, just for a big inhale. And then as you exhale, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Keep the knees bent here so that your spine can really be long. And then we're going to take a few breaths to movement. And as you inhale, let's lift the heels up off of the ground, maybe straighten the legs. Then as you exhale, drop the heels back down. Let the heart space melt towards the thighs. Two more times just like that. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, lower the heels. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Beautiful. Inhale, lift the heels. Bend the knees really deep. Find this really deep crouchy pose. And then look forward in between your hands. Keep the spine long. We're going to start to walk the feet up to the hands, little baby footsteps, one at a time. Nice and slow until we get to a ragdoll pose. So feet should be hip width distance apart at the front of your mat. Bend the knees deep. Let the heart space relax on top of the thighs and let the head shake out. And then find a neutral position. Next inhale, we'll find halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Reach the crown of the head forward. Keep the knees bent gently. Exhale, release, fold. Really bend the knees so this isn't a super deep hamstring stretch. We'll get deeper into the hamstrings later. Two more times just like that. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, release, forward fold. Last one. Inhale, lift. Hold. Keep the spine long. Next inhale, upward salute. Lift all the way up. Shoulders stack on top of the hips. And then as you exhale, cactus the arms open up through the heart. Take a gentle back bend. Inhale, reach tall with the hands. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. Pull up and out of your left foot and then stretch over to the right, really pressing the hips over to the left. Inhale, bring it all the way up through center. Exhale, dive over the hips, forward fold, let it go. Inhale, find your halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. And then as you exhale, we'll find a runner's lunge, so slide this left foot back, bend into the right knee. And then just for a second, we're going to find our high crescent. So ground down into the feet, find balance in the feet first, and then bring the hands up overhead, reach tall with the fingertips. And then one time we're going to exhale, cactus the arms, devotional lunge, open up through the heart. Inhale, reach tall with the hands. Again, grab your left wrist with your right hand. And then we're going to bend deeply into the knees again. This time we drop the left knee all the way down to the earth. Flip to the top of the left foot. And then if it feels okay, we'll stretch up and out of that left hip and pull the left wrist over to the right. Bring your hands up through center, lift tall through the fingertips. And then as you exhale, we'll find half splits. Pull the hips back, flex the right toes towards the face. I like to press my right heel a little farther forward. And if your hands don't feel super comfortable touching the ground, if it feels like your hamstrings are going to rip open instead of a nice gentle stretch, bring something under the hands, water bottles, box, pillows, whatever you have close by. Books. And my favorite thing about half splits is that you can play with the direction of your toes, kind of getting into different areas of the hamstrings. And if you're a trail runner and you run down hills, sometimes it feels good to bring the left hand down and reach the right hand up overhead, getting that nice juicy IT band stretch. And if you're not already here, let's make our way here with left hand down, right fingertips reaching up towards the sky for a couple breaths. And then we'll bring our right hand inside of the right leg. Again, it might be lifted on a block or a pillow or something. Ground down into the hands and into the left knee. We're going to swing this right leg all the way around back behind us. Lengthen. Bend the right knee. And as we inhale, we're going to kick the right foot to the back of the head as we find cow pose through the upper body. And then as you exhale, knee to nose, pull it in. One more time. Inhale, kick it all the way up. A little different this time. We're going to cross the right knee behind the left so that our legs, our thighs are crossed. Left knee in front of the right. And then press your hips back towards your heels. Your left knee should lift up off of the ground as you do this. It should be a gentle hip stretch. And if it doesn't feel like a gentle hip stretch and it doesn't feel good, just return here, find some cat-cows, whatever feels good. Next inhale, we'll bring our shoulders back up on top of our wrists. As we uncross our right knee from behind our left, we're going to kick our right foot over towards the right, out from our right hip. Gently drop the inside edge of the right foot down onto the ground, and then press your hips towards your left heel. And you should already feel maybe an inside of the right leg stretch over here. And if you don't yet, let's spin the right toes up off of the earth, flexing the right foot, and then start to walk your hands over towards the right and away from the shoulders. And if it doesn't feel comfortable for you to have your hips sat on your left heel back here, you can sit on a block or a pillow or whatever feels good. And release. Let's walk the hands through center. And if at any time you're like, I need to sit a little longer in that stretch, you can always just press pause and then keep going when you're ready. But we'll bring our shoulders back up on top of our wrists, come onto our left knee, and we'll keep our right foot where it is, but plant down into the inside edge of the right foot. Tuck the left toes underneath the left foot. Then we're going to press the hips up and back towards the sky, finding this kind of awkward downward facing dog here. And if you really press into the left hand, you should feel a good stretch through the left side. Then from here, we're going to see if we can walk our weight into our left foot and our hands, slowly lifting the right foot up off of the ground until we come into a scorpion pose, right hip stacks on top of the left. Take a couple big hip circles one direction, opening up through that right hip. A couple the other way. That feels good. And then really just let it open up. Squeezing your right heel towards your left glute. Stretching through the right side body. And then we'll find lizard lunge to bring this right foot all the way forward outside of the right hand. And then take a second here. Keep the left knee lifted and start to rock back and forth in and out of the feet. And then when you're ready, we'll let the left knee drop down to the ground. Let this be really restful. You could keep your hands on the ground. You could press into the inside edge of this right knee, really opening up through the right hip. Maybe you drop down onto the forearms. If you want a quad stretch here, you could bend the left knee and grab the left foot with your right hand behind you. And if you go for that and your left hamstring starts freaking out and cramping up, just don't do it. Mine does that sometimes. And if this doesn't feel quite accessible to grab your left foot with your right hand, but you're like, I really need a quad stretch, see if you can bring your left hand higher up onto something, again, water bottle, block, whatever you have nearby, dog, something. It helps with the shoulders are lifted a little more. Release the left foot if you have it. Ground down into the hands again. Tuck the left toes, lift the left knee. We'll meet in Malasana Frog Squat at the front of the mat. So bring your left foot out, side of the left hand, sit the hips low, elbows inside the knees. If this doesn't feel quite accessible for you, sit on top of something or come right here, bear pose. We're only here for a few breaths, so see if you can lengthen through the spine a little more, press into the hands a little more, breathe even deeper into the heart space. And then we'll release. Find a ragdoll pose, spin the toes forward, bring the feet to hip width distance apart, shake it out, and we'll bend the knees deep and release the hands at the lower back. And then we'll inhale, find a halfway lift, lengthen, and then as you exhale, bend your left knee really deep. Let your left shoulder drop toward your left knee as your heart opens up to the right. Good, right hip IT band stretch, hopefully. Bring it up through center, bring the hands back to the lower back, release them all the way down to the earth. And we'll inhale, find our halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, release, let it go. Inhale, upwards to the root rise. Reach tall with the hands. This time we're going to grab the right wrist with the left hand, pull up and out of the right foot, and then stretch over to the left, really pressing the hips over to the right. Next, inhale, bring it all the way up through center. Exhale, dive over the hips forward, fold, let it go. Inhale, find your halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. And then as you exhale, slide your right foot to the back of the mat, hands frame the left foot, runner's lunge. Again, find a hip width distance dance with the feet. Ground down into the feet, find the balance first, and then find high lunge crescent. This is like the most amount of effort we're going to do in class is this high lunge. And then as you exhale, we'll cactus the arms, bend deep into the knees, open up through the heart. And then we'll inhale, reach tall with the hands. Again, grab your right wrist with your left hand. And then we're going all the way back down. Drop your right knee all the way down to the mat. Maybe flip to the top of your right foot. If it feels good, we'll put up and out of that right hip. Grab your right wrist and pull it over towards the left. Inhale, we'll bring it up through center, reach tall. Exhale, find your half splits, drop the hands, pull the hips back. Again, I like to walk the left foot a little forward, flex the toes, and see if you can try to keep your spine long. And you can let go a little bit, but it does help the stretch if you can keep the heart space open and the spine long. Again, bringing hands on top of something, blocks, pillows, whatever you got. if the floor feels like it's really far away, which sometimes it does, especially when we're really tight. And if you want to play with the direction of the toes, getting into the different hamstrings. If you want to get into that IT band stretch, right hand stays down, left hand lifts up overhead. And we're all going to meet in this stretch. So if you're not here already, bring your right hand down, left hand lifts up into the sky. Take a couple breaths here. And then drop your left hand inside of your left leg so that you're grounded onto your hands and your right knee. Swing this left leg all the way around back behind you so that you're in your three-legged tabletop. Bend the left knee. We'll take an inhale to kick the left foot to the back of the head. And then as you exhale, knee to nose, bring it in. One more time, inhale, lift the left knee, kick the left foot to the head, and then exhale, cross the left knee back behind the right. If it feels good, press your hips towards your heels, reach the hands forward, gentle hip stretch here. Next inhale, bring your shoulders back up on top of the wrists, come onto the knees. As you uncross the left knee from behind the right, we're going to kick the left foot out from the left hip. Drop the inside edge of the left foot down. Press your hips towards your right heel. Maybe they find a block as you reach the hands forward. And if you already feel this a lot in the inside of that left leg, you can even come back onto the right knee if you need to. If you want more, lift these left toes up, walk the hands forward and left, really stretching through the inside of that left leg. Use my AirPod falling out. One day I'll get a better microphone. And release. We'll walk the hands back, forward, and into the center. Ground down into the inside edge of that left foot. Pull yourself onto your right knee. Tuck your right toes underneath your right foot, and then we're going to press the hips up and back into this awkward downward facing dog. Seeing if you can really let it be a right side body stretch. Pressing your right hand down into the ground, right heel, and down to the ground. Start to rock your weight slowly into the right foot and the hands. See if you can gently lift this left leg up and bring the left hip all the way on top of the right. Open it up, scorpion. My left IT band does not want to let my left knee bend today. But we're going to take a couple big hip circles one direction, a couple big hip circles the other way. Really let it open up. Lizard lunge when you're ready. Plant the left foot outside of the left hand. Taking a second to stay with your right knee lifted, rocking forward and back if that feels good. And slowly move into your lizard, however you want to take it. Maybe dropping the right knee, maybe pressing into the inside edge of the left knee, possibly dropping to forearms. Last option, quad stretch by bending the right knee, grabbing the right foot behind you. Again, putting this right hand on something a little taller if the foot feels far away. Again, feeling free to pause the video whenever you need to stay in something a little longer. We'll meet in Malasana, so bring both your hands down inside of the left foot, and then bring your right foot outside the right hand. Sit the hips low, taking a couple seconds here, lifting up through the heart space, finding the breath, letting the hips be open. And then we'll find our ragdoll pose. Feet come to hip width distance. Bend the knees, interlace the hands. And as we inhale, we'll find our halfway lift. Then as we exhale, we're going to let our right knee bend super deep. Let the right shoulder drop to the right knee as the heart opens up to the left, stretching through the left IT band this time. And if you want to, you can kind of rock in and out of the feet, forward and back, finding what position feels best. Bring it up through center, release the hands by way of the lower back down to the ground. As we inhale, find a halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. And then as we exhale, we're going to sit all the way down to the earth, finding our seated forward fold. We'll reach the feet forward, flex the toes, lift up through the spine, and then if it feels okay, you might want to bring a pillow or something underneath the knees here to let yourself just kind of relax into this if this is a lot on the hamstrings. But maybe your legs are straight down and you release forward. And if your calves need some extra love, this is really important. We want to keep one foot where it is, and then you just want to bend the other one just slightly so that the foot is still close to it. A lot of people want to bring it in all the way here. I don't know what it is about keeping it forward, but it lets me get a little deeper into the calf muscle. So keep the left foot forward. If you want to get deep into the right calf, flex the right toes and really pull those right toes back. Lift up through the heart space, lengthen through the spine, and let that feel really good in the right calf. Again, you can kind of move around through this right foot to see what position feels best for that. Switch it out whenever you're ready. Press that left foot forward, bend the right knee just slightly. Lift up through the heart space, flex the left toes, pull them towards you. And if you don't feel it yet, kind of move through this left foot. Be like, where does it feel best? And last thing that you can play with, if your ankles are a little sore or tight, you could keep the feet flexed or you could point them. And that kind of feels really good through the front of the shins and the ankles. And if you can reach your feet, you can really press them down, press the toes down, stretching through the front of the ankles. Gentle release. Lift yourself up. We'll plant the feet, bend the knees, and slowly lower all the way down to the ground. Setting up for a hip opener, we'll find supine figure 4 or supine Gomukhasana. So we'll bring the right ankle on top of the left to start. And then you could reach for the left hamstring or the left knee, pull it into the heart space. The second option here is to bring the right knee on top of the left, like eagle almost, but then reach for the outsides of the feet and pull them towards the shoulders. But if your lower back lifts up like this when you want to do that, let's find figure 4 instead. And then we'll take this right into our twist. So bring the right knee directly on top of the left. Bump the hips to the right just slightly. Bring the hands out to a cactus or a T and let your knees drop over to the left. And the pressure of this left knee on the outside of the right shin should let it feel like a really good hip opener. And if the legs being crossed does not feel good, just simply unravel the legs and let the knees drop over to the left for your twist. Gentle release. Let's unravel the legs, bring the knees up through center. Come into a quick bridge pose, so feet are hip width distance. Reach the hands towards the heels and press the hips up towards the sky to just open up through the front of the hips for a second. And then release them back down to the ground, setting up for the other side. Left ankle crosses on top of the right knee. Reach the right for the right knee or the right hamstrings. Supine figure four. Or stack the left knee on top of the right. Reach for the outside pinky side edges of the feet, pulling the feet towards the armpits. And a lot of times I see the knees really bent like this. That might feel good for you, but it feels a lot better when you bring the feet kind of high up and pull it up high. And we'll take this into our twist. So bring the left knee directly on top of the right knee. Bring the hands out to a cactus. Bump the hips over to the left a little bit and let your knees drop over to the right. Finding a supine twist, allowing the knees to drop over. Hopefully this feels good on the outside of the left leg. If it doesn't, you can unravel the legs. And release. Bring the knees up through center, uncross the legs if they're still crossed. And then we'll bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a good squeeze. And release to Shavasana pose, letting the legs go long, arms release out to the sides. Let the shoulders scoot underneath the heart space. Finding Shavasana pose, taking one last big final breath before you let your breath just completely relax. Take a big inhale through the nose to fill. Open, lift, take in as much as you possibly can. And then open the mouth, let it all go. Maybe you take a moment to scan the body, starting at the toes, making sure every little bit of tension has been released. And if you feel tension in a certain place of the body, you can give it a quick squeeze or a wiggle and then allow it to relax. Making your right knees, thighs, your hips. Check in with your belly, your heart space, your hands. And sometimes the hardest place to relax is the face. We can hold so much tension in the neck and then it stems up to the forehead. So let all of that go. Let your tongue drop away from the roof of your mouth. Take this very much deserved relaxation. Letting gravity do all of the work. And if you have the gift of time, I highly encourage pausing the video right now and letting yourself be here for as long as you can. It's time for you to start moving again. Let's start by taking big, deep inhales. Filling up the entire body, not just the heart or the belly, but everything that you possibly can. Letting that breath spread and bring energy into other parts of the body, waking up fingers and toes, letting them wiggle. Making your way to wrists and ankles. Really see if you can move the wrists and the ankles around. Bring your hands up overhead for a full body stretch. Gently start to bring your knees into your chest. And then roll onto whichever one of your sides is calling you for a fetal position. Allowing yourself to take a moment and feel the residue of the practice, of the movement, of all of the hard work you've put in. Giving our body what it deserves at every moment can be so hard. And then we'll make our way into a seat. Thank you so very much for being here with me virtually, for watching, for practicing, and for nourishing the body with movement and stretching. If you have any questions, comments, requests, please reach out in the comments, and I hope to see you back on here soon. Namaste.